4 of Entree's post show. That's right, you got it. 2 things I want to talk about. I'll do a separate video. First thing, obviously, the headliner, the biggest thing, right? Khabib Nurmagomedov retiring, 29-0. This is unprecedented in mixed martial arts. 29-0. Khabib is basically the Floyd Mayweather of mixed martial arts. And I know 30-0 sounds better than 29-0, but due to what he said to his mother and unfortunately his father passing and him not being there, his father was pretty much synonymous with Khabib's mixed martial arts career, and so Khabib, saw fit to not want to continue. And you know what? First of all, I respect the guy, and I think he should retire. Because frankly, number one, who else is there? Who's next? Okay. Taking the words right from George St. Pierre, we all knew Khabib was good, but I didn't know he was that good. I think maybe he had 2 takedown attempts in that fight, but maybe I'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I do agree with Khabib wanting to retire. This whole build-up, this whole year has just been a clusterfuck for all of us. When he loses his father and, doesn't really get to properly mourn him, maybe, and, having to go right into camp for Gaethje and just having to hold all that is really a testament to, his will, his grit, his discipline, I guess it's that stoicism, and I'll do another video talking about that stoicism. I don't even know if that's the correct word or ism of the word, but and the European countries or these these countries outside of the United States, and it's like I think that stoic mindset begets discipline, but and then when you layer religion on top of that, it's another addition of rules and disciplines and doctrines and teachings and a way of life. So Khabib's mind was just bulletproof, but he definitely carried that. It's absolutely okay for a man or a person to cry to mourn, especially when it's the loss of a loved one or a parent. But like DC said, Khabib left it all in the gym. He left it all in the octagon, and I'm really glad that he got to have that moment. As soon as he made Gaethje tap, he was kind of like everyone, just please wait for the applause. When he just kind of got down on his knees and just he wept. He just let everything out that he was holding and carrying. And of course he has his team, so he doesn't have to carry that burden all by himself. But there's only so much that they can carry, so much that they can do. They can't see what's inside of the guy, right? They can't see really only maybe his body language. They know him, things like that. But yeah, I do agree with him wanting to retire. And just some highlights, my own personal thoughts on the fight with Gaethje. I know, but leading up to this, of course, it's kind of like the WWE John Cena effect, right? How it's like when John Cena was on his run in WWE, it's like you buy the pay-per-view because you want to see somebody beat him, right? And the WWE universe is torn, right? Some people loved Cena, some people didn't. And it's like, but you kept buying and kept tuning in because you're like, this is the guy. This is the guy. This is the guy. I know the last guy was strong, but this guy's different. And it's like the UFC maybe organically created that with Khabib, and it's like there was, like DC said, there's nothing bad associated with Khabib, but it's just like something, I don't know if it's just me or in human nature, where you want to see that unbeatable thing get beat. Maybe it's just, I don't know, a selfish, innate desire in us, or maybe it's just me, but it's like, what would happen if he did get beat? It's kind of like, oh. So, and on paper or on background, Gaethje had all the right stuff, but it's like, when you get in there, and that's the one thing I forgot, was Khabib's pressure. He pressured him right from the gate, and it's like, he didn't just go in for takedowns. He felt them out, and, Khabib showed that he was a true, well-rounded mixed martial artist in that fight. Gaethje was landing and scoring with those leg kicks, absolutely, and you saw whenever somebody throws a leg kick in MMA and it fucking makes you buckle, or it turns you, where you're perpendicular to your opponent now, or your shoulder is facing him, that was a good leg kick, okay? Now, TV kind of like discredits a lot of the force and impact of these blows, but like it didn't look like it was much of an impact. But trust me, that was an impact because it turned Khabib slightly. So, Khabib's not dumb. He's smart. He knew, hey, I can't take too much more of these, and but it was just that pressure. And Khabib not only showed how to beat Gaethje, but he showed how to beat anyone. And I'm gonna do another separate video talking about this, about just kind of my thoughts on how mixed martial arts, and I think how self-defense, or just the self-defense philosophy and mindset, I think, and just a fighting mindset, a general fighting mindset, and how all that can be tied together in MMA. Because I do have some thoughts relating to like corners and like your team, your head coach and everybody, your striking coach, your jiu-jitsu coach. Just to give you a little teaser, I do think that in MMA and in all sports, whether it's football, I don't know so much about basketball, but maybe we'll just say it, basketball, soccer, just all sports across the board. I think at some point the trainers and coaches and whoever else, these people that are kind of behind the scenes or off the field, off the court, I think at some point they do hinder athletic performance, because it's almost like they're playing the sport vicariously through their players. But that's a topic for another video. But anyway, I think Khabib's style, I will say this then, Khabib's style, I think, is the epitome of mixed martial arts. I mean, if the sweet science of boxing is to hit and not get hit, I mean, mixed martial arts, now you're throwing in, right, a mixture of martial arts, which you've got grappling, wrestling, judo, you've got, taekwondo, kickboxing, whatever it is, right? Now, there are rules and things like that, which I still think they have one with like a downward elbow if you're mounted on somebody. But so to me, then, what's the sweet science of MMA, right? I'm contrary, like I'm different from most MMA fans. Most fans like want to see that knockout, and I'm like, to me, if it's a championship fight and guys stand up the entire time, I'm like, to me that's boring, right? Like that's like K1, that's like glory kickboxing. Like if I want to watch kickboxing or glory, I'm gonna watch glory or something like that. Okay, right? This is MMA, so there's like takedowns, grappling, fence work, cage work, but it's like, I think people get lost and they're like, I gotta knock this guy out. But it's like Khabib embodied, in my opinion, the epitome of MMA, which is to, with all of the mixed martial arts, to use them to hit and not get hit, or to inflict damage and not get damaged. Khabib said he never saw his blood in the octagon. Never. Okay, like there's a reason for that. If you look at all the grapplers, the like high-level grapplers, and they mix in striking in the UFC, they're the ones that have the longer careers. They don't get hurt as much. They don't take as much damage. I'm talking about like the Damian Maias. Okay, Damian Maia is probably 43 years old, and he's in the UFC welterweight top 10. 43 years old, and I would attribute a lot of that to the man's grappling. He does strike, but his grappling is so superior. Like, how are you going to get, like, you can't knock someone out when you're controlled, when you're laying on your back, when you have to defend elbows and punches and worry about someone mounting you and straddling you. And then, like, to me, that's allowed in MMA, so you should utilize it and go for controlling. I think, furthermore, to kind of wrap this up, and just my, I guess you can call it praising of Khabib, is that one of my old-time favorite fighters was Randy Couture. And I think Khabib took what Randy Couture started and just perfected it. And what I'm talking about is Randy Couture's fighting philosophy was impose your will on your opponent. Now that's old and that's cliche. It's nothing new. But Randy Couture in certain fights embodied that. He put that on display to a T. And because you saw this 40-something plus year old man beating men that were half his age, and it's like, on paper or whatever, that shouldn't happen. But it's like, no, because he imposed his will in addition with his skill and experience and things like that. But he utilized those things to do what? Control. Couture liked to use the fence. He liked to press his opponent up against the cage. Utilized dirty boxing, clinch work. That's grappling, mixing and striking. Again, one of my favorite Randy Couture fights was against Gabriel Gonzaga. Gabriel Gonzaga was on a tear. He had hype behind him. I think he was heavyweight champion, this fucking huge Brazilian knockout artist. He could submit you. Randy Couture went in there and made Gonzaga look like an amateur. Like, pressed him up against the fence, dirty boxing, then fucking took him down from the fence. It's like, that to me is the epitome of MMA, is you utilize these things, but you don't sit there and stand and trade blows for like 5 minutes. You need to get this guy down or get him pressed up against the fence and rain elbows and knees and punches on this dude and make him submit or TKO or knock him out. And so all in all, Khabib, thank you for your amazing career. I think Khabib left the blueprint. I mean, much like, an entrepreneur or like a mogul or somebody, he left an MMA blueprint, just like Conor, just like McGregor basically left kind of the blueprint of like, okay, how you can become an MMA prize fighter. I think Khabib left this blueprint now of how you can have how you can have longevity in your MMA career, okay, and you can be dominant, right? And I think if you take those two blueprints, McGregor and Khabib, right, the showmanship, the attraction, the appeal of Conor McGregor, the star power of Conor McGregor. Now, the funny thing is, Khabib got a lot of star power too. He has a lot. He's not as, boisterous or opinionated or outspoken as McGregor, but he has a lot of that now because, through his actions and people, his Instagram, his followers fucking skyrocketed, all this stuff. I think Dana White released these stats, like on the new UFC 4 game, Khabib is like the most selected player, like worldwide, and whether it's like online play, like he's the most chosen player, like to be in the game. His Instagram, but like just tons of like high stats, and it's like he did it the right way, just like DC said. He didn't have to, start his own alcohol brand, or he didn't have to talk all this trash and stuff. Not that's not a bad thing. Like, I would talk some trash too, but he just, like I said, he left his own blueprint and McGregor left his. And it's going to be interesting now to see, what the current UFC roster does. Do they still kind of just obey what their camp, what their head coaches say, or do they just kind of take this blueprint that this man, 29-0, you can't argue with that. I mean, I think he only lost like 2 rounds in his career. Rounds. So it's like, how do you not emulate that style? You know what I mean? I mean, you don't have to do it to a T, but take things from it that, you like, meaning if you're a fighter or something. If I were to fight in MMA, that's a like dream of mine. But that's what I would do, because it's like, yeah, nobody wants to say, oh, I get paid to get punched in the face. It's like, no, okay? You're trying to go in there and impose your will and inflict more damage than you take. Ideally, you take like a small amount to 0. So I agree with Khabib's retirement. He has nothing more to prove. A McGregor rematch for what? For what? For what? There's nothing that McGregor did or showed in that fight to constitute a rematch. He beat Dustin Poirier, he beat all these guys. There's nothing more for him. And frankly, I don't even want to see him versus GSP. And I'm really glad that GSP took it upon himself to say, hey, right now where I am, 39 years old, cutting all that weight, 30, pounds, 30 to 40 pounds, just to make weight, it's not very healthy for him. So, and maybe that fight is better left, to the imagination of fight fans, right? And I mean, it's really not going to, prove anything. I mean, these are 2 men in 2 different eras of MMA. So it's a fantasy fight, and, that's the point of the video games, right? If you really want to see GSP and Khabib fight, shit, put on the UFC 4 or any of the UFC games, if you can have a computer player against another computer player, all right, have Khabib fight GSP, and the computer will work out based on their stats, who would win that fight. So just do that. But I mean, both are, the GOAT of their respective times, of their eras. And I wish Khabib all the best. And let me know what you guys think in the comments, right? Do you guys think Khabib should have retired? Do you think he should just try to squeeze that one last fight in and get 30-0 just so that it looks good, like 30-0? Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Tell me what you guys think about Khabib's fighting style. Did he lay a blueprint down for other fighters to emulate, or were you kind of bored by his style? Because there's that notion that people are bored with grapplers, but a lot of these high level grapplers have figured out how to be entertaining as well too and finish fights. So I wish Khabib all the best. Him, his family, his friends, just decades of prosperity and happiness. And he gave his all. So that's all that we can ask. I mean, more than we could ask. So let me know what you guys think, and stay tuned for more videos, fights, and everything related to the UFC, because this channel is Mark of All Trades, and this is one of my trades. Out.